If you wanted to train a great speaker or an accomplished writer, where would you start?
Interesting question, but there might be some good recommendations somewhere else on the script.
Doing your part for viewer retention, I see.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're doing anything.
Okay, well, if you were Richard Lanham, you might point out that we have two main paths to choose from. The first, what he calls the serious path, sees language as a tool for communicating facts and concepts about nature and society, and sometimes for communicating emotions. According to the serious path, our writing succeeds when our writing is clear and sincere. This serious approach relies on the assumption that we each have a single irreducible identity and that there is a single reality contained in physical nature that serves as a stable backdrop to all that we do. The second, which Lanham calls the rhetorical path, assumes, maybe provocatively to modern ears, that there is no such thing as a fact or a text as it actually happened, because to perceive is to color with intention. As a result, language is not just a tool for communicating facts, and the role of education is not just to teach clarity and sincerity, but instead to provide training in the mechanisms of identity, to offer a selection of roles the student could try out, and to offer training in tolerance, if by that we mean getting inside another person's skull and looking out. Instead of viewing ourselves as beings with irreducible identities moving through a stable, objective reality, the rhetorical path introduces us to a world of contingent purpose, of perpetual cognitive dissonance and plural orchestration. It specializes less in knowledge than in the way knowledge is held. So what Lanham points out, and what has been a fundamental part of rhetorical training since the beginning, is that reality is never as tidy as our ideals make it out to be. The serious ideal of reliably stable identities, transparently communicated facts and emotions, and objective universal experience of the world sounds nice, but it doesn't quite match the realities of our conflicting priorities, our shifting moods, or the complexities of our ever-changing social and cultural landscape. So this rhetorical approach, which emphasizes language and skills for adopting various identities and adapting them to complex realities, is, as Lanham points out, invested less in what we know and more in how we relate to what we know, which he associates with wisdom. And that brings us back to our original question. If you wanted to train a great writer, someone who had a deep understanding of language and of the various ways language could be used to navigate the complex realities of our social and political life, where would you start? What skills would you teach, and in what order?
Maybe how to pick an AI tool, how to prompt an AI tool, how to copy and paste probably. No, I'm just kidding. I'd probably start by getting a red pen and writing awk for awkward anywhere I could.
Well, lucky for us, we don't have to do any of those things, because the early rhetorical training for students in the Greek and Roman world consisted of a fairly standardized set of exercises known as the Progymnasmata, which were all designed to lead students through a series of increasingly complex and difficult rhetorical skill sets that would prepare them for more advanced rhetorical training. Of course, we are a long way from ancient Rome, so the Progymnasmata don't offer exactly the kind of training that will prepare us for our rhetorical realities, but they're still worth talking about because, as the translator George A. Kennedy puts it, they present a sequence of assignments in reading, writing, and speaking, which gradually increase in difficulty and in maturity of thought, from simple storytelling to argumentation, combined with study of literary models. As such, the exercises were certainly effective in providing students for centuries with verbal skills that many students in our time seem less often to develop. Where the rhetorical methods for teaching produced the kinds of writers and texts that we still read and study today, the Ciceros and Shakespeares of the world, the more serious approach that has prevailed probably since at least the early 20th century has contributed to the situation where, as Lanham has complained elsewhere, if you ask American students to read a prose passage out loud, they sit paralyzed with fright. It is not simply that they have never in their lives read one aloud, though this is often true. It is that they must pay attention to words in a new way, and they find this acutely uncomfortable. And that's because they have been trained to see language as a tool for communicating facts and not as something worthy of attention by itself. As he argues, we pare away all sense of verbal play, of self-satisfying joy in language, and then wonder why American students have a motivation problem and don't want to write. See, whenever someone asks me what I do for work and I tell them that I teach writing, 9 times out of 10, they'll either say that they hate writing or that they're bad at it. And that kind of bums me out. It's evidence to me that they've experienced a kind of education that taught them that writing is a serious thing with right and wrong answers, and that they've internalized a kind of stabilized identity as bad writers. They've either lost or never even enjoyed a rhetorical view of writing as a chance to play with language or of themselves as flexible and adaptable users of language. Writing, and especially learning to write, should be about trying things out, developing a repertoire of techniques, and equipping ourselves with the skills and knowledge we can use to succeed in whatever kind of rhetorical work a situation may call for. And at their most basic, that's what the Progymnasmata are all about. As John of Sardis, who wrote a commentary on the Progymnasmata, explained, you should know that Progymnasmata are miniature rhetoric. Just as in learning handicrafts, there are things to learn before getting a complete understanding of the art. In the case of metalworkers, for example, how to light the coal and work the bellows. In the case of shoemakers, how to make a last. So, in coming videos, I want to take some time with each of the Progymnasmata, or with each Progymnasmata, if you will, in order to show you another approach to developing discrete skills that can advance your writing, whether it's with fables, refutations, encomia, or comparisons. The Progymnasmata are fundamental skills, the rhetorical building blocks of great writing that have the potential to serve you well with any writing project. So even though they were originally meant to be the earliest steps a student would take towards participating in the political discourse of the ancient world, we'll instead be thinking through how these skills can apply to the range of rhetorical and creative projects we might be working on now, complete even with some ideas for trying them out yourself. So stick around, because in the next video we'll be having some fun with fables. I'm excited to see you there.
Oh, and don't worry, I'll be there too, so it won't be all